I've always wanted to try Vietnamese spring rolls, so when I saw this recipe from Andy Cooks, I knew I had to give it a try, but made halal. We're going to start by grating 1 large stalk of lemongrass, 2 cloves of garlic, and 1 shallot. We'll peel off the hard outer layers of the lemongrass. I peeled off enough layers until I could rub the lemongrass and get a nice citrus smell from it. We don't want to remove too much because if you do, you'll get to a really limp center and you can't really do all that much with it. Now we're going to toss out the peeled off bits so we have a tidy place to start grating. Chop off the top green half, then we'll remove the stalk end at the bottom. Mine looked like this when I decided it was good to grate. Bring in a mixing bowl and start processing that through. I found that there were some little fibrous bits of string. Try and remove those as you see them because it gets really hard to take them out later and they're pokey in your mouth, which is not so good. Next up is the garlic. Be careful when you do this because it gets a little slippery as you grate more of this and nobody wants fingers in their lemongrass marinade. And finally, we'll grate the shallot. I think my grater was a little too fine for this because my shallot turned into more of a pulp than shreds. If you try grating this with a bigger grater, let me know how it goes in the comments. Next, we'll add 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of fish sauce, which you can find at pretty much all Asian grocers, 2 tablespoons of reduced sodium soy sauce, and then we'll whip it up. I used a fork for this, and I'm glad I did because this was the point that I found all those little fibrous bits that I mentioned earlier. Now we're going to add in Midamar's Halal chicken breast. You can pick that up at the link in the description and get it delivered straight to your door. Also, while you're there, use code YTV10 for $10 off your next order. Now we're going to cover that up and refrigerate it for 30 minutes or more while we prep our sauces. First up is the peanut sauce. We're going to combine 1/3 cup of smooth peanut butter and 1/2 cup of hot water. Then give that a little mixin' so the other ingredients mix into that a little bit easier. Once that's all whisked up, toss in 1/4 cup of hoisin sauce, the juice of 1/2 lime, a few dashes of fish sauce, and then we're going to whisk that up one last time and give it a taste. I personally wanted the peanut butter flavor to be just a little bit stronger, so I added another tablespoon or so and whisked that in. Once you got that to your liking, we'll cover it and set it aside. Next up is the sauce I was particularly excited to try. Now, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce the name of this sauce, but it is a sweet and spicy, salty, and slightly sour dipping sauce that was really good. In a pan over medium heat, we'll combine 1/2 cup of water and 2 tablespoons of palm sugar. If you can't find that, brown sugar would work fine too. Cook that until the palm sugar dissolves, and I'm still pretty new to palm sugar, so I wanted to give a little taste. It's really an interesting ingredient. It's sweet, but it's not as sweet as white sugar, and it had the faint flavor of caramel or toffee, but it was really mild. Now we're going to add in a little sour with 2 tablespoons of lime juice. Then we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of fish sauce at a time until it hits a kind of salty, sweet, and sour combo. I ended up only adding 2 tablespoons of fish sauce, but I think that was because mine wasn't particularly salty. I thought the fish sauce flavor was getting a little too strong, so instead of adding more fish sauce, I decided to add in some more coarse salt. This is entirely based on the fish sauce that you have though, so only add salt if yours isn't really all that salty. And once the sweet, salty, and sour flavors are all balanced out, we'll add in 2 thinly sliced bird's eye chilies. Peri-peri chilies are a little different, but I think they'd be a fine stand-in if you can't find Thai chilies. Also, we're going to add in 2 large cloves of garlic sliced. Then we'll add in rice vinegar in batches. Personally, I don't really like vinegar all that much, so I only ended up using around a teaspoon or so, but use as much of this as you like. Give that a taste, we'll refrigerate it and let it marinate for a while we prep our fillings. I'm taking 3 small cukes and 4 medium peeled carrots. We'll start by prepping the cukes for slicing by chopping off the ends, then we'll cut those in half. Do the same for the carrots, and then we're going to bust out our mandolin and set it to a 4mm thickness. Very carefully glide the carrots through. The mandolin is extremely sharp, so be very careful. Once the carrots are in nice little sheets, we'll lay 3 or 4 of them on top of each other and slice them into julienne strips. Then you'll repeat the process with the cucumbers. However, you're probably only going to get a few strips out of each side because you want to avoid getting the seeds. That part holds a lot of water and it'll make our roll a lot sloppier later. Then we'll stack those up and chop them into julienne strips yet again. Next up is our green onion. We'll come in, chop off some of the green tops, chop off the root end, then we're going to turn it diagonally and we're going to chop it into nice small bite-sized pieces. I was told by a friend that a good spring roll always has a lot of rice noodles in it, so we're gonna prep those up. There's really not a lot to say here, just kinda boil them until they've softened a little bit and they have a nice bounce to them. This only took me a few minutes for the whole package, and then once it's cooked, go and rinse it under some cold water just to stop it from cooking. By now our chicken has been plenty marinated, so we'll head over to the pan and heat up around 2 tablespoons of peanut oil. Get that oil nice and hot, and then we'll place our chicken into the pan. Then we're going to fry that up, flipping once or twice to get a nice bit of char going. In retrospect, I think it would have been better for me to pound the chicken into a fillet before marinating it so it cooks a little more evenly. But I'm also a sucker for fillets, so that's really kind of a me thing. I'd say this is an optional step. Let the chicken rest for around 5 minutes to lock in a lot of the juices. Then we'll bring it to the cutting board and slice that into little strippies. Now, when you're on a video shoot, you really are not supposed to eat what you're making, but in my kitchen, we sneak little bites here and there, and man, I am so glad that I did. This chicken is incredible on its own. The flavor from the lemongrass and the other seasonings that we used is so good. If you don't want to make these into spring rolls, at least make the lemongrass chicken because this is incredible. But if you do want to make spring rolls, we gotta start rolling them up. So to start, we're going to get some rice paper and roll it through some water a few times. Once you've dipped that through 3 or 4 times, we're going to lay it on a cutting board and let it hydrate. This only takes like 30 seconds to a minute, sometimes 2, depending on how much water you put on there. Once that's a little stretchy, we'll take some butter lettuce and roughly tear it up and lay it across the paper in a line. Next up, we'll layer on some mint leaves. I couldn't find Vietnamese mint at any of the 3 Asian grocers near me, so I settled on regular mint. If you can find Vietnamese mint, use that, but otherwise regular mint will do. Next, we'll lay out the cucumber, the carrots, our delicious lemongrass chicken, the green onions, a hearty helping of rice noodles, and then we're gonna wrap that up burrito style. Grab the bottom part of the wrap, tightly pull it up over your fillings, then take the short ends and bring those into the middle, and then finish tightly rolling your wrap. I gotta warn you though, the rice paper is way more sticky than a tortilla. So once it touches itself, that thing is gonna tear really easily. If they do tear though, do not fret. You can wet another wrap and rewrap the whole thing. And I gotta say, I'm really glad that I tried these out because I've never had anything like them. This is easily one of the most fresh tasting foods I've ever had. The crunchiness from the carrots and veg combines with the citrus flavor of the chicken wonderfully. And those sauces, they take it to the next level. The peanut sauce is extremely good. It's a classic, sweet, savory nuttiness. It's great. And the traditional Vietnamese sauce was also very tasty. It's really strong when you try it on its own, but when you dip your spring roll into it, it really mellows the whole thing out. I really hope you give these recipes a try, and if you do, let us know what you thought of them in the comments. I'd love to know. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next week with another delicious halal recipe.